All right, it's react time. Inside Star Citizen, Firebird is the word, but the basically this is the ship sale ISC. I don't think I'm gonna have a lot to say here. The only thing I want to see is the explanation for the new Argo MPUV thing. What they're planning on doing with the other ones. See if they say anything about that, or are they just going to talk about this Firebird? Let's see.
It's that time each May where we celebrate the might and majesty of the UEE vehicle fleet, and this week we're exploring the gold standard work of one of the rarest vehicles in the game, the debut of a new design sure to set the verse on fire, and a long-requested variant finally making its debut at this year's event. It's Invictus Launch Week Part 1, so let's stop yapping and get to showing.
Long-requested variant.
I'll be here when you get back.
Oh, the Medical Ursa. Okay. Part 1, yeah, so we know what next week is.
So the Sabre Raven was introduced at CitizenCon 2017 in Frankfurt. It was an exclusive deal with Intel. It is a EMP interdictor fighter, carries 2 EMP generators in its belly, it has an additional computer on board for helping do data running, and is really just a cool looking ship. You can see the resemblance to the Sabre, but it is its own unique shape. Performance-wise, over the years, because of its exclusive nature, it's sort of never really peaked in terms of popularity, but the owners that have it love it, and you always see them at ship meets in the game. Recently, we completed gold standard on the base Sabre, which highlighted some of the issues with the Raven itself.
It sucks, but the people who have it love it for its exclusivity, and we see them meet up with the ship in the game. What a ship, guys.
It's sort of been left behind in terms of art and gameplay upgrades over the years. So we set about gold standing the Raven and utilizing some of the work we did on the Sabre to help benefit the Raven.
Imagine all the ships that need to be gold standard, guys, and this is the one they chose to do because they were selling another version of it instead of gold standarding the ships that are already in game. Like, think about that one for a second. That one's a little frustrating to think about when you really think about it.
We've recently done a pass on the Sabre Raven. It gets referenced a lot as gold standard. What I think for me personally, the way I look at it is kind of our current standard. It's bringing a ship that we've done work on in the past and kind of ticking off all the current kind of features to make it compatible with everything we now do on our current release ships. The main pass that we needed to do on the Raven was to add all of its functional component base. Standard. So now, rather than it just being a shell, and you can't really do much with it, each of the component bays now have a animating opening door. All of the components are accessible by the player, and that really just gets the vehicle ready for the next stage in Star Citizen gameplay. With the resource network work coming online and the ability to interact with the individual ship items, that ship is now kind of ticked off, ready, good to go. Some of the other work that was needed as a kind of byproduct of bringing it up to current day standards is working on the dashboard and the interactions on there. So now the buttons are all interactive, and really it's just about giving some love to some of our older vehicles and bringing them up to kind of our current day standard.
I am so disappointed in this ship.
This one in particular. Invictus, we're happy to announce.
So for people who don't know, the reason the one they just showed is exclusive is because it was with a deal with Intel, and it was during when they sold the what were they called? Some Optane drives. And they don't make Optane drives anymore. That deal ended a long time ago, but under the contract, CIG is not allowed to sell that ship. Period. In game, out of game, nothing. What I was hoping was this white chip on the screen, which is it's another version of it, was that it was basically going to be the exact same thing as the blue one, but updated or something, a version in which they could sell. Can't. It's going to be this.
That there is a new sibling to the Raven, and it's called the Sabre Firebird. So the Sabre Firebird is a missile-based fighter, much like some of our other ships like the Talon. It trades pure gun power for missile firepower. It is based on the Raven chassis, but it has quite a few little visual tweaks that, when you put them side by side, you'll notice that it is a complete...
This was unique ship has 2 EMPs. No other ship has 2 EMPs. This is a missile ship. The hope is that whatever's here is modular and that you could take them out, but I think people are obsessing over modularity in Star Citizen a little too much. I don't think it's going to happen on that many
Completely different
ships.
art style. And its main firepower is from its belly-mounted bespoke missile launcher, which holds 12 size 3 missiles.
So in the Sabre series, we have the base Sabre, the Sabre Comet, and the Sabre Raven. And really, we wanted to kind of build on the Raven's chassis.
Good, I don't have the Raven, but I like exclusive stuff I ever get. More exciting if I see it. Okay, let me take what you're saying. I agree. But let me take what you're saying and share why I think it's shitty. It is an exclusive ship. Ships are like things that are useful in the game. It is exclusive from the point of there's only one ship that has 2 EMPs that you can go back to back. It's not a trinket in a game, right? It's not a paint. It's not an. It's different. The exclusivity of earning something in the game, of like, I did this event in April 2020, whatever, and you can get it. Sure. Then yes. But it's not rare loot. It's something that you literally had to use your credit card to get. That's not exclusivity in a video game to me. Right? So that's different. I agree with what you're saying if it's video game related. This is not. This was like, hey, help us pay for CitizenCon, please.
It's a very unique design, and we really felt like we could do more than what we've currently done with that vehicle chassis. Obviously, we wanted to make sure that it feels different enough from the base Raven. So we did quite a lot of work. The actual full kind of top of the vehicle has pretty much been kind of remodeled. The main spine of the vehicle has a bunch of changes on it.
It looks good.
When we looked at it and kind of decided what is really successful and what we want to build on, we really felt like the Raven is very, very sleek, whereas the base Sabre had these really nice kind of like tail fins and a nice kind of back end to it. So really we kind of want to bring a bit of that inspiration back into the Firebird. So the main kind of visual change that you'll notice on the rear of the vehicle, it's got a slightly new thruster, and it's got these nice sort of wings that complement the rear tail end. A lot of kind of more subtle changes have been done on the vehicle as well. When you kind of first look at them side by side, we really wanted it to be recognizable that it was built on the Sabre chassis. So we've kept a lot of the key shapes, but as you start to kind of like get into the detail.
Legally, it had to be recognizable, but it couldn't be the Sabre Raven. That's basically what he said.
You'll notice the wingtips are different. The kind of big cutouts have had some work done to them.
We've changed enough of
and
it,
we decided to
so we won't
add
get
some
sued.
extra geometry there just to kind of strengthen up the vehicle a bit as it is. I think the base Raven, being like an interdiction ship, really it was kind of focusing on agility and being able to chase down targets, whereas this being slightly more kind of combat orientated, we really wanted a bit more strength in the vehicle as a whole. As you kind of go to the underside of the ship, that's where the big functionality change comes. So now in the belly of the ship, we've got a big missile rack, so it all opens up and then we can launch the missiles out from underneath the Firebird.
Compared to a lot of our other ships that have missile racks just bolted under the wings, or bespoke ones mounted into the hull that are sort of firing forwards, this is canted at a downwards angle, so you get a really nice visual when they fire down and curve up. And also we've adjusted the missile controller on it, so rather being restricted to a set amount, it can fire up to a complete row at a time. So you get to see a huge volley of row by row come out. So we have a lot of fighters in.
So every other missile boat can only fire 4 at a time. What about the Strike? How many can that do? Why can't the Connie do that? The Storm AA can fire 12. Yeah, it's a ground vehicle. Remember the old 325A? It was a feature of that ship. I do remember that, actually. Because money. Yep. I just don't like the coy nature of how they do that. Like,
in the
talk
game,
about that stuff.
but we don't have a lot that their main
Don't you just feel gross when you hear them say these things sometimes?
focus is missiles.
Shrike still holds 2 times as many. It's the thing is like, okay, so if the Shrike holds 2 times as many, logically it could be a game balance thing. Like, okay, well, if we want to make a missile boat, this one can't fit as many. Does the Shrike also hold size 3 missiles? Or is it 12, like 2 times as many size 2 missiles? Because size 3 versus size 2. Yes? Okay. So maybe it's a balance thing, and we cut them a little bit of a break here. Is this one can fire more at a time, so they'll all miss at the same time like the rest of them, and that one can fire more overall, and that's the balance between the two. Or we can just be like, yeah, these guys are fucking scammers. And
I could mention that the Talon Shrike is pretty much the main missile-based fighter that is a light to medium category. So this adds another option into the mix. And it also builds on all the work we did for the Sabre Raven Gold standard to help get a brand new ship. In terms of who is the Firebird for, just like anyone who enjoys combat, this is a ship for you, especially if you prefer to sort of not engage direct in dogfights and sort of lurk on the periphery of combat and help chip away at the targets. So that's the Sabre Firebird, available at Invictus. We're looking forward to see the reception of it and letting a new generation of backers experience that classic silhouette with a revitalized in-game performance.
Did you consider doing a Pontiac Trans Am Firebird paint for this?
When we came up with the name of the Firebird, we did, instantly think of some vehicle inspirations, should we call it? But no.
Smokey and the Bandit.
No, Smokey and the Bandit.
Black with a Firebird on it?
Mutual.
So in the top 3 questions that I get, number 1 and 2 are when and where are the Banu Merchantman and Endeavour? The third one is where is my Ursa medical version? So we're finally proud to present the RSI Ursa Medivac.
Yeah, because that's the one they really wanted you to focus on.
Out of the 3.
So where are we going to use the Medivac? It is designed for use in a sort of combined arms ground assault scenario.
When you kind of think about all the different gameplay loops we have and all the different ways that our players like to explore the universe, we have a lot of air support. We have the Pisces, we have med bays in our big ships, but we don't really have anything that's ground vehicle based that can kind of be that response unit to really kind of get people out of trouble, to come in and heal.
How are they going to sell the change that was obviously done for a ship sale?
Our players.
You have people on the ground, in vehicles, in grav-lev bikes, on foot, assaulting a location such as a distribution centre. Ultimately, people get injured and killed, and they don't want to respawn back at their habs or at hospitals, or even in sort of a parent mothership a long way away. You need something that can keep up with the assault, and that's where the Medivac sits.
What about medical beacons? Why didn't he mention those?
It fills that gap in our lineup that allows the players to be able to go out, explore our universe, and have less concerns about some of the activities they're getting up to, knowing that they've got a medical vehicle on call nearby that can kind of get them out of a bit of a sticky situation. Exterior-wise, the main kind of big difference is going to be the delivery.
So the Medivac will come with its own medical-themed default paint, as well as additional paints, and these will be applicable to the base Ursa as well.
Other than that, the kind of main changes that we've done is just really giving it a bit of a lift up to our current standards. So we've got proper interaction panels now for the side entrance and the rear entrance. And then the biggest change really is on the rear of the vehicle. The ramp or the rear door previously split in the middle and opened up, but that doesn't really make sense when you think of a medical vehicle. You want to be able to ease the transition in.
So I want to talk about this just for one brief second. The idea of what the change does right now, for now, that's really bad, is as soon as you get injured, you just backspace and your injury goes away. So the beds that can only heal certain injuries are completely, it doesn't matter anymore. You just take a level 1 bed, backspace, or level 3, whatever the fuck it is, backspace, and then
as easy as possible. So it's got a proper kind of rear ramp on it now. The door folds down and just allows much easier access into the rear of the vehicle. Inside, it's all new. It feels very clean and clinical. Our artist that worked on it, Hadi, he's done like a fantastic job of really bringing up the kind of the level of detail, making it really feel like a purpose-built space. On the left-hand side, you've got a weapons locker that also has storage for your med guns and your utility items. We've then got a clean sink area. It feels very clinical and clean. And then as you move towards the front of the vehicle, you've got an extra seat. Looking at kind of current ambulances and medical vehicles, you generally have your patient and then somewhere for the person that is kind of doing that treatment to be. We've got the medical terminal where it allows you to treat the player or the patient. And then right at the front, we've got all the component bays and everything else that's needed for making the vehicle work.
Wait, you can respawn there? You can respawn in every
So the big feature of the RSI Ursa Medivac is, of course, the med bed in the back. It is a tier 3 med bed, and the way med beds work in the game is changing. Tier 3 historically did not allow respawn on them. We're changing that to allow respawn, but at a much reduced distance from the vehicle. So you really need to keep this vehicle up with the attack.
I respawned millions of kilometers from my vehicle yesterday, so
to get the maximum use out of it.
Also, historically, they did, yeah.
We took a lot of inspiration from some of our other kind of med bays on our other vehicles, and generally, we just try to think about if you're trying to treat someone that's been injured, what do you need, what's available for you. Obviously, we looked at ambulances and real life inspiration.
That change is not exclusive.
Say it's a temp change. I do not think it's going to be a temp change, and I don't think it should be a temp change. I think it should stay exactly how it is, because you have to create the negative side of backspacing, right? You have to create the negative side of using it. The usefulness of it helps 10 times more players than it hurts, right? They have to add consequences, and they just refuse to.
To the Medivac, that is an across-the-board change, so ships such as the C8R Pisces and Cutlass Red will also benefit from that. But of course, those are much larger targets in a combat scenario, so you would want to keep them a little bit further away. So that's the Ursa Medivac. It is a great support vehicle for ground vehicle players, and especially those who want to support other more hostile engagements. And I didn't mean to imply that we picked this over doing the Merchantman or the Endeavour, but a lot of people ask me this. Every single event in Reddit Spectrum. So where's the Medivac? So it's here now.
Launch sequence complete.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Sabre Raven finally gets a little of the love and attention it's needed for some time. That the Sabre Firebird is here with a host of missile-laden destruction alongside with it. And that the Ursa Medivac is rolling up with a fantastic change to how medbeds work and new liveries for all Ursas to enjoy. Now, don't forget to tune into this year's Invictus All Vehicles Roundtable tomorrow. We'll have some of the folks that make ships possible on to discuss all aspects of vehicle life in the verse, and then come on back next week for Invictus Part 2 for even more new vehicle goodness. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process.
What's next week?
Process of game development with you.
Polaris
we'll see you all here next week.
Am I missing something? Concept ship? Oh, Tally? I don't think Legionnaire. Yeah, we'll see. More vehicle goodness, I guess. But, okay. I mean, in the end, this is how I think about all this stuff. Every year, they get 2 times a year to be completely shameless. And that's the only time it's okay for me. These two times a year, Invictus Launch Week and IAE, shameless away. Just please stop doing it the rest of the year. And make the damn video game and stop having your ship sales affect the video game so much. Outside of that, I just shake my head, do other things, play the game in other ways. I don't really focus much on the ship sales. I will say any concept art that comes out at at this point, especially if it's a large ship, I would be very cautious about assuming if that's coming in. The way they're talking about 1.0 seems like it's going to be a dumbed down version of probably what any of us expect Star Citizen 1.0 to be like. So certainly don't expect all of the ships to be in either, unless it's 5 years away, you know? So be careful about any concept sales that come up, that's for sure. Outside that, I don't know, man. Medical Ursa is pretty cool. I'm willing to let them cook on medical changes. I've talked about that already. I feel like they add a step to the changes they want to make to medical without telling you what the other 15 steps they plan on doing are, because they don't know what they are probably. And yeah, it's okay to be shameless for them at these times of year. They got to make their money. Just be responsible. That's all. Just be responsible.